Australians, and especially Queenslanders, live with an invisible killer. UV exposure is the main cause of malignant and non-malignant skin cancers, both of which are on the rise.
In 2006, we lost just under 230 people to melanoma skin cancer.
In Queensland?
In Queensland, yes.
Becky Bourne is one of those unlucky ones. She was 19 years old when she was diagnosed with melanoma in 1997.
Absolutely devastating. Life could never be the same again. It was a horrid 3 years.
Mrs. Bourne says her daughter could have been more careful about protecting her skin from the harsh North Queensland rays.
Admittedly, when she went swimming, she did often wear shirts over her bathers, but couldn't get her to wear a hat. Used to walk home from school and have the red nose and the red face by the time she got home.
Okay, Mia, I'm going to tickle Mia.
Tara Castle grew up with the slip, slop, slap message of the early 1980s. The TV ad featured the all-singing, all-dancing Sid the Seagull, who made sun protection easy to remember.
Slip, slop, slap, slip on a shirt, slop on sunscreen and slap on a hat.
The 33-year-old Brisbane mum says the message had an impact on her as a child, so she always tried to do the right thing. But 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with the first of 2 bouts of skin cancer. Her first child was just 4 months old at the time.
I had to undergo plastic surgery to have the cancer removed. That was probably the size of a grain of rice, if that. And I had to have probably around 15 centimetres of cuts made to my face, which was quite alarming, but I guess better than being dead.
But studies in the United States and Europe are finding that too little sun exposure could also be fatal. Scientists discovered those considered low risk are deficient in vitamin D, which is produced by ultraviolet light and needed to absorb calcium from food. It's best absorbed through the hands, arms and face. Sunny Queensland isn't immune. Skin cancer expert Professor Michael Kimlin believes lifestyle changes rather than good sun protection practices are to blame for low vitamin D levels among Queenslanders.
If we take a very conservative cut-off, it's around about 50% or so in summer. If we take the new cut-offs that are recommended by international bodies, it's up around 75 to 76% in winter.
Evidence is also emerging about its value in the prevention of some cancers.
There's been associations that have been found between vitamin D status and prostate cancer, colorectal cancer. There is a slight association, we believe, with breast cancer, and also the big one with the autoimmune diseases of looking at multiple sclerosis.
Professor Kimlin and his team are trying to find out exactly how much time in the sun Australians need for good health. The study involves 1,500 participants and considers variables such as location, lifestyle, height, weight, skin colour and sun exposure.
Sun exposure for the Australian population makes around about 90 to 95% of our requirements for vitamin D. Now, the amount of sun exposure is controversial. It's in the order of minutes rather than hours.
Preliminary results should be known within 2 years. But Professor Kimlin and his team say they're not encouraging deliberate sun exposure. In fact, they're taking new, confronting technology into the community to persuade people to cover up before they do too much damage to their skin.
Just in here, thanks.
Using a special camera that photographs a few millimetres beneath the skin's surface, Professor Kimlin shows clients their long and short-term sun damage. Young people are his main target.
So you can see that on your nose and underneath your eyes, you actually do have quite a number of pigment changes here.
This is the face of a woman 30 years older.
We're not seeing as much pigment, but we're seeing a lot more of this thickening of the skin and the wrinkling of the skin.
Sun safety advocates hope the graphic images will discourage people from spending too much time in the sun.
I think that the vitamin D message is a complex one and it's not the same across Australia, which makes it very difficult for the community to understand.
Until we get that information, I think it's very unwise for people to self-medicate with sun exposure. We don't know how much is enough, but we do know that excessive amounts of sun exposure are directly linked with the risk of skin cancer.